Hello, everyone. Good morning, afternoon. Welcome back. Um, Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new. Thanks for joining me today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Clayton. I'm a recovering drug addict and alcoholic, and I've been clean and sober since February 21st, 2021. And yeah, and I just realized earlier that I guess it's the 21st today, so that means I'm 3 years and 11 months clean and sober today. Next month will be my 4 years. So wow, January 21st. A Brazillion, full of it. As an entertainer, she traveled the world, but found herself in the isolation of addiction wherever she went. This dancer found grace out of spotlight in the rooms of NA. Narcotics Anonymous rescued me from the depths of despair and gave me back my life. I was born in Rio de Janeiro and grew up in north of Brazil in a big family. My father was angry and full of morals, but my mother was gentle and really good to us. Life was difficult, but I felt loved. We were taught to love others and be responsible. I thought of myself as special. I was 17, and when I got drunk for the first time, I hated the taste, but loved the way it made me feel. It was like the doors of the universe were open to me. In 1974, I started dancing with a folklore company and was introduced to marijuana by another dancer. I absolutely loved the way I felt. Something was glowing inside me, making me feel strong. After that first one, I wanted another and another. When we went to smoke, he took me behind the theater and told me not to tell. The secrecy was very exciting. The progression to other drugs came soon. We traveled in Europe, and even without speaking other languages, we found drugs. I became more and more dependent on using. I was invited to stay in London and join a Brazilian theater company. Most of the actors used, and I felt at home. In the play, all the actors were nude on stage. The first night I got really loaded to be able to take my clothes off. When the company went back to Brazil, I stayed in London. I spent all the money on drugs and wound up living in a squat with other addicts, stealing from shops to eat, dancing topless for money, and experimented with acid with another addict. I tell you, we got more than we asked for. I got pregnant, and the decision to have an abortion was like deciding what to eat. There were no feelings. Today, when I think about it, I feel a lot. 2 days after the abortion, I was introduced to cocaine and that love affair lasted more than 10 years. The dance company was rehearsing another show, so I went back. I took LSD with me to sell. It was crazy, but I was so arrogant I never thought about consequences. In Brazil, I started dealing. I knew it was dangerous, but I felt invincible. I was approached by a buyer, and we arranged to meet. I was set up, and I am alive today only because I mentioned a friend. One of them recognized. When they left, I was shaking, my heart beating so fast I thought I would explode. One of them got arrested, and someone told me that the police were looking for a woman with red hair. That was me. I shaved my head. I got pregnant again and had another abortion. In Brazil, that was very difficult. I went to I went to a backstreet doctor and contracted an infection. I was in pain and I said I had to tell my mother so she could take me to a private doctor. I knew my mother was suffering and my sisters were all angry. My family didn't know how to deal with me. They didn't know what was going on, but they knew it was serious. I was stealing from them to get drugs. I was so unhappy. I figured, I figured of despair and denial, lying, pretending things were okay. Everything that I did like there was no tomorrow. I was powerless. As at the end of the next tour, I stayed in London again and met the man who would become my love, my husband, and my hostage. I moved in with him. I was so happy that for a while I didn't use much. My boyfriend was supporting me. I looked after the flat, studied English, and was sued uh, and sued. We were happy. We went to a crazy party. They had everything. That night my boyfriend couldn't find me to go home. I returned 2 days later with an excuse. I started using cocaine again, smoking grass every day and becoming unreliable. My boyfriend was taking such good care of me and I was behaving so badly. I didn't see what was happening, but I started using more and more and hiding it from him. I got a contract to work as an entertainer in Cannes, Monaco, and Nice. The show was in the evening. All we did during the day was go to the beach and use. I was high all the time. I discovered my addiction to gambling. I couldn't not stop until I lost all the money I had taken with me and all the drugs were gone. I had an affair. I felt ugly. I felt guilty, but I was an addict wanting more of whatever was available. I was using cocaine all the time. One night I used so much before the show that I couldn't sing. My voice didn't come out and my nose started bleeding. I had to leave the stage. That had consequences consequences for the whole group, but I didn't care. When the manager came to talk to me, I flirted with him until it was forgotten. In 1980, I went to work in the Caribbean. One night after the show, I went out on a yacht with a man. We used a lot. We passed out. I was half conscious and I knew something was wrong. I could feel my heart beating inside my mouth, and my left side was paralyzed. I thought, quit calmly, or quite calmly, I am going to die. Then I thought, I don't want to die, and I realized, to my horror, that we were in the middle of the sea. I was losing my senses. I felt we were in the middle of the sea, or I was losing my senses. I felt really frightened. I prayed to God not to let me die. I promised that I wouldn't use again. Somehow, I was able to turn on the shower, and the cool water helped the circulation return. When I got back to where I was staying, one of the musicians was using. He offered, and I took. I was powerless, and my life was unmanageable. When my boyfriend met me at the airport, he didn't recognize me. He was horrified, but said I looked like death. I had lost a lot of weight. For the next 2 years, I did weekend shows in different cities, taking my drugs with me. Sometimes I was aware. Sometimes I was aware of the madness. It was like my body was twisted, my hands gripping the glass so tight that it would break. I was unmanageable, confused, and unhappy. My boyfriend asked me to marry him, and we went to Brazil. Even on my wedding day, I was high. I was just able to stand through it all, not embarrassing him or my family too much. My last year of using was a nightmare. I stopped performing or even taking care of myself. I didn't care what anyone thought. I would go to dealers and come home days later. I was called to do a gig in Paris and thought I could do with a change of scene. After the performance, I went out, and to this day, that evening is a total blackout. On my way back to London, I stood out like a sore thumb in a tight leopard skin dress, attracting attention. I was arrested in the airport in London. I was really angry. I didn't know why they were arresting me. I had this policeman to saying to me how bad using drugs was, and in the end of my using, it was August 1986. My recovery journey began when a friend took me to an NA meeting. We had used together and was 9 months clean. I was very sick, very thin, and I didn't know if I was of coming or going. My husband sent me to a treatment center. I didn't feel human. In place of me, there was a huge pool of arrogance, denial, delusions, fear, pain, despair. It was more than I could bear. After being in treatment for less than I felt, waving my middle finger at everyone. This one's a bit of a longer one. I'm almost done, I think. Having been this, having been abstinent for 3 months and having gone to NA meetings over even reluctantly, it was clear to me that I was done using. But I had to make sure everything I had heard in meetings was true. My short, devastating relapse left me with feelings I couldn't understand, and I went back to treatment. It was hard to go back, but I am grateful for having found courage and determination to stay. And really, look at the disease that wanted me dead, the the emotional the emotional the emotional pain was intense, and there were moments when I thought I was going to die, but the love and care of other addicts helped me to carry on and to take it a day at a time. Sometimes I could only take a minute at a time, and that was okay too. Surrender allowed me to slowly return to humanity. I recognized that I was dead inside. I was physically, spiritually, and mentally sick. I decided to stop fighting and let people in, and bit by bit, I was restored to sanity. I went into a halfway house for women. My first thought was, but I hate women. I told that thought to go away, and it worked. I do that a lot. I began to look at my anger, self pity, and denial about what I did when I was trusting the process, using the program, being helpful, and helping others. I found that I had compassion and that I cared. When I did step 1, 2, and 3 for the first time, it was like switching on the light. I started waking up every morning with this new feeling inside me. Hope. Writing step 4 was definitely a turning point. It was I was able to face all the rubbish and start to recognize the good in me. I realized that nourish I could nourish it and become a better person. There was a lot to work. There was a lot of work to do, but but I wasn't afraid to let go, grow up, and go forward. Getting through step 5, sharing with another human being the true nature of my wrongs, is one of the most humbling things I've done. The day I did step 5, it was raining. The sky was covered in dark clouds. Afterwards, I went for a walk on the beach. It was really cold and I was crying. When I looked up, there was a patch of blue in the sky, and like the sun strong or the day I did step 5, it was raining. I just read that, didn't I? The sky was covered in dark clouds. Afterwards, I went for a walk on the beach. It was really cold and I was crying. When I looked up, there was a patch of blue in the sky and the sun shone for a minute. For me, that was my higher power saying to me that I was going to be okay. I felt happy, a spiritual awakening. Narcotics Anonymous is in my life. It has allowed me to see, to feel, to be the real me, and to achieve great things over the years. I could not be aware I am today if I didn't practice prayer and meditation. My higher power is loving, kind, and truly my friend. I learned to accept my life as it is, not as I would like it to be. Working the steps is still a primary purpose in my life. I love going to meetings and growing. I like talking to other addicts, and achieving I always love going to meetings and growing. I like talking to other addicts and always have time for the newcomer. Recovery gave me the opportunity to become a mother, one of the most wonderful things that has happened to me. Life is not perfect. When my daughter was 3 years old, she was diagnosed as autistic. Through the years, she has been a real challenge. She is lovely and we can have fun together, but at times she is impossible to live with. I am lucky to have such a supportive husband. We have been married for 20 years, and when I can't cope, he takes over. My daughter is 16 now, and we have a son who is 13. The program helps me with my life and its challenges. Today, I believe that everything is going to be alright. I have some very difficult days, but I have tools to help me see the way through. When I came to recovery, I was emotionally and spiritually dead. It was like I was in a deep, dark hole. I could not see anything, no hope, only despair. Going to meetings, sharing, things started to make sense. I learned from other people, experience, being willing to shut up and listen. Doing service, having the courage to leave my safe environment. I changed before I knew it was out of that hole. Before I knew I was out of that hole for good, with huge prospects for my life. I practiced the 12 steps daily and am grateful that today I can admit when I am wrong. I can learn from any mistake. I am only I am not so hard on myself anymore. I am 18 years clean. My recovery journey is full of wonderful happenings. I love my life, my sponsor, and my sponsees. I have my own business. If someone had told me when I came into recovery that I could be able to manage my own business, I would have thought that they were joking. NA has also helped me to go back to singing. I was invited to share at a convention, and when I finished, everyone asked me to sing. I didn't know what to do, but they kept shouting, "Sing, sing." And to my surprise, I started singing, and I loved it. Thanks to NA, with the help of steps, a power greater than myself, sponsorship, and service, I've been able to see my potential. I've found me. Wow, what a great story. And the cool thing is that it just shows that no matter where you are in the world, whether it's here, there, Brazil, you know, addiction is everywhere. Man, I would have loved to hear this woman sing. I bet you she was just amazing. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate every one of you. It would be great if you hit like and subscribe, join my community. If nobody's told you today that they love you, well, I love you, and we will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.